Breathtaking. I understand your fascination with her. I understand completely. She's perfect somehow, isn't she? More than perfect. More than human.
Have you started bleeding yet?
Bleeding.
From your mouth.
My interest in her, of course, is more than professional.
Please say something. Oh, thank God you're here. I'm so sorry.
My name is Brandon Cronenberg, and I'm the writer and director of Antiviral. At the end of film school, we needed to make short films for our senior projects, and so I adapted one of the scenes from the feature that I've been writing into a short film.
Shortly after I started at Rhombus, Brandon's film that he made in school called Broken Tulips was in the En Route Film Festival, which is run through Air Canada. I knew about the film, I'd already seen it, and I was already an admirer of it, and I had told Neve about it.
I was at that screening and I was really impressed with the short, and I met him right after, and he said, well, you know, I'm thinking about maybe turning this into a feature film. And I said, well, if he can write the screenplay, then we'll make the film.
If you'll permit me to make a recommendation. That's 558. Expensive, but a must-have for the truly devoted.
Antiviral is about a man named Sid March who works at a clinic that buys viruses from sick celebrities and then sells them to fans who want to be infected. On the side, he steals viruses from that clinic and undoes the copy protection on them and sells them on the black market.
I've been trying to reach you. I was sick.
Through that, he becomes infected with a high-profile and extremely deadly virus and has to unravel a mystery surrounding it in order to save himself.
Sid is in every frame of this movie, practically, and so we needed someone that people could identify with and connect with.
I wanted to ask about the alarm test tomorrow.
There's nothing I can do about it.
It's just that I'm sick right now, and I need my sleep.
We were proposed Caleb Landry Jones by one of the agents in LA. I got the proposal first, and I thought, oh, you know, like, he's just so young, like, this is just not gonna work. And I have to say, I've never been more blown away by material on an actor than I was by that material on Caleb. I just thought he was fantastic.
I wanted to do this whole noir thing. I wanted to do something very dark. I wanted the character to be very in his own head, where it's him against everything else. He's exactly what I wanted to be working on at that time.
The writing of this script is one of the reasons I'm here, and the fact that it's a first-time director. I love to work with first-timers.
I was extremely sick, and I had this semi-conscious fever dream, and I started obsessing over the physicality of illness and just the fact that there was something physically in my body and in my cells that had come from someone else's body. And when I kind of sobered up afterwards, I thought that people might actually enjoy that connection if they looked at it the right way.
I'm interested in supporting first-time filmmakers because I want to, you know, see what they can do. I want to hear their voice. In the case of Brandon, I knew he was very strong and had a very strong voice because we've been working on the script. So the question then is, how do you get that from, you know, from sitting in a room writing, which is a lot easier than, you know, standing on set commanding 50, 60 people. My answer to that is to surround that filmmaker with a crew, or at least leaders of a crew, that are really, really sympathetic to the filmmaker, to the fact that it's their first film.
I first heard about Antiviral when I got a phone call from Neve. Initially I said no, and I didn't know much about the project at the time. He called me back and he said, I really want you to do this movie. And he told me it was with Brandon Cronenberg. And he sent me the script and I read it and loved it, and I had to come up and be a part of it.
I got a call one afternoon from Brandon Cronenberg, and he asked me to read a script for him. 20 pages in, I was totally in. I was sold. I said, I want to do this.
It was one of the most original sci-fi concepts I had certainly read in years and years and years. It would be like a dream come true to work on just a really cool, original science fiction horror film like this with ideas.
Well, we just finished pre-production, and the day after tomorrow is the first day of shooting. Quite a few members of my family work in film, and so I've kind of grown up being somewhat familiar with the filmmaking, the structure of filmmaking. I'm a fairly reclusive and somewhat antisocial human being, and so being in a position where I'm actively working with people for at least 12 hours a day has been a huge change. I've kind of worked through that, and it's actually been somewhat therapeutic to be forced to work through those issues. Yeah, it's been pretty intense in a very enjoyable way.
All right, so shoot day one. We're starting in Hamilton on the show on Monday. We're going to start the After Buddies Meat Shop. Basically what we have in the meat shop interiors is some playback TVs we've talked about. We have our cast. As far as background goes in the meat shop, we have like a butcher and 10 patrons.
I was very excited to do the butcher shop as a set within this film. First of all, the audience has a really good idea of what a butcher shop looks like. And, even though they've changed over time, we sort of threw it back to a nostalgic time when there were hand-painted signs all over the place.
All right, and turn over, please.
Rolling.
Friend.
Action. Joe?
Brandon, as a first-time filmmaker, is really interesting because went on set even from day one and looked like he's been doing it all his life. I guess in some ways maybe it's because he grew up on a movie set. But you never know, and that's kind of the beauty of working with first-time filmmakers. You actually never know until you are going to get on set that first day what's going to happen, and that's really exciting.
A first-time feature is a huge thing and a major opportunity. I definitely felt pressure of that kind getting into it, and I wasn't entirely sure what to expect.
I think there's a lot of expectation and a lot of anticipation for this film. So I was really expecting him to be a lot more nervous.
He's kind of a shy, introverted guy. I didn't know what he'd be like on the floor. On my first day on set, he commanded the room. He's got a confidence.
We've got Nick behind you.
How's this, Brandon?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, let's do it.
The human face is a powerful messenger. Our brains are attuned to its every nuance.
More focus on his lips.
Focus on the front of the lips.
Cut.
Working with Caleb, it's humbling for me. To him, nothing is impossible. You don't fake something. This guy is like taking it to the limit.
This is really I think it's that you're running after him for a long time with the cane, and then you're doing like a jump.
What you need to do is what you're squeezing, square up so the building's straight behind you. And go back. It's like, squeeze that head down, straight back. Yeah. Something stupid? No? Ready.
I've got more of my blood here if you want.
Cut!
Cut!
We're now a week and almost and half a day, right? A fourth of a day. A week and a fourth of a day. I don't want to jinx it. Like, it was fantastic for the first week that I didn't watch really hardly anything except for maybe a take here and a take there afterwards. It's lucky that any time I've seen stuff so far, it's been pretty fast-forwarded through or whatnot. But sometimes I need that to know that, okay, you're doing okay, Caleb. You're doing all right. You know, that was acceptable, you know what I mean, in my eyes. Well, let's go. Let's go back. Back with Mercer and Top, Sal and Matt. You can't smoke in here, can you?
Stop, sir. I have to put this microphone on you so we get your golden tones. Thank you very much. How was your lunch, sir? Very good? Excellent.
Not supposed to talk to me. None of them
sorry,
are supposed to be
I forgot. I was not supposed to look at it. I'm not
even supposed to. I'm not supposed to look at it. Phil, you're still talking.
Oh, sorry.
This is Philip.
Pardon me. Oh, sorry. Oh, did I hurt you? Sorry.
I only have so much leg hair.
I know, sorry. I didn't mean to. There you go.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Slide it down. Okay.
You just got
119, take one. Mark. Guys, we're in good position. And frame.
Action. Listen to what you're saying. She was born without a vulva. Her father used to make them out of regular pairs, which was an ordeal for her as a child, but now she has fashion designers do it. Anyway, that's what she meant when she told Spot Magazine that she doesn't have a face.
You want to come see makeup? This is stage 2. Yeah. Come and see stage 2. Happy.
When I met Caleb, it was just like fantastic. It gave me a lot of leeway to sort of run the gamut with him. The first stage is basically redness around the eyes and a little bit of redness around the nose. Then stage 2, I kicked it up a little bit by lining the inner rim of his eye. Stage 3 and stage 4, I did use a lot more dryness, and then there was blood.
Oh. There's Diane with the umbrellas for everyone. It's okay, Diane.
What are you doing?
You want to just come under here? There we go. Is that good?
Caleb was sort of an endless source of energy. We beat him up quite a lot throughout the shoot.
He physically transformed himself in a very, very, very radical way. I mean, if you want a recent modern example, probably similar to what Christian Bale did in The Machinist.
Now, I would love to do this properly. You would just stop freaking out.
It's been very enjoyable and pleasant almost to have so much of the physicality because I'm worn out by the end of the day and it is a fantastic feeling. Sid is choked, Sid is flung against a wall, Sid is choked again, Sid is left for dead out on the streets.
Conrad Veidt is one of his big inspirations. Dr. Caligari, you know, the man who laughs.
You never want to copy someone and you never want to have that intention in the beginning. You can definitely take things away. I mean, McDowell is a big subconsciously taking things from him, as I have my whole life since I've started acting.
That much is already on. That connects us to.
And after I saw Clockwork, it changed my fucking life. It changed the way I saw performance. I didn't know that certain things were possible.
There's something about him which is very vulnerable and really charming. He's very intense about the work, which is great, which is the way I was, I'm sure, when I first started out. Of course, he's at the beginning of the journey. You know, I'm towards the other end.
This has been, in some ways, an uncomfortable experience for me.
Stop being sorry for yourself, for God's sake. Cheer up, buddy.
Brandon sort of adapted the style of the movie to how Caleb brought a much more genre kind of heavy vibe to it, and you know, sometimes the movie almost becomes like performance art.
I read the script, it read to me almost like Blade Runner or something like that. This sci-fi noir with a little bit of a touch of Mad Men.
There's something about science fiction which is magical and sort of dangerous and scary. We can use our human resources, our brains to really, and our imaginations to do anything we want.
I think it sort of became more squarely a genre film as it evolved. It was just kind of meant to be this slightly exaggerated version of present-day Toronto, I guess. It was important to kind of run with those elements and not fight them. So for instance, there's a lot more blood than I was originally imagining.
Brandon came up with this genius way of a great extreme to take it to. The scene where Porus comes in for the first time and he's talking to a woman.
I'm here from Michael Felix. Do you know he used to torment his lovers by packing his foreskin with spices before intercourse?
When Edward first walks into the Lucas Clinic, I was just completely mesmerized by the way Brandon wrote that scene.
It just seemed that someone who was obsessed with a celebrity might be someone who was receptive to the idea of a disease being a connection.
Right now, we are living in a world where people worship, read about, follow on Twitter, discuss around the water cooler the ins and outs and the moralities of people's lives that they don't know.
People see you in a film and they feel like they know you. They think that they see right through you. They feel like they are just like you. Anytime you're honest, they've got something. They've got something from you that you can never take back.
I have been known to pick up the Inquirer while I'm waiting at the checkout, you know, just to read the fun things about what they're saying about people. So I guess we're all guilty, in a way.
Hey! You get in line.
I don't know why, but I never even tried or thought about the role of Sid March. I automatically read the script and felt connected to Edward.
So Doug plays a character who's obsessed with Hannah. In real life, I'm friends with his brother, Greg Smith, who's also an actor. It was just after Doug had rapped. He picture rapped on the film. I went out with Greg, and Kevin, who's one of our producers, was there as well. They said, Doug's coming. You know, he's really excited to meet you.
And I look over and I'm like, Hannah Geist. And she just gets up and she comes over, she introduces herself. I don't know if you remember me, but we met 1.5 years ago. And I felt like such a creep.
And then he came, and he kind of came right up to me. He was like, hey, oh my God, it's you, it's really you in real life. And he was like going like this, and I was kind of like this.
I had to get a drink.
Nobody reads a script where, you have such an iconic female role who's so idolized and identifies with that. No one thinks, oh, that role is for me, that's me, People tend to project themselves and project their own ideals onto celebrities because it's so easy. It becomes this one-way relationship where they never answer back.
Creating Hannah Geist's celebrity was a fun process. She's in the film for a very short period of time. So the way we wanted to do it was have her image as ubiquitous as possible. The film opens with a 12-foot tall by 20-foot wide image of her that Sid's sitting in front of. He's dwarfed by her. And then we put her image everywhere we could. When we're in the butcher shop, she's there. When we're looking at images on any television screen, whether it's in Sid's landlady's apartment, Hannah Geist's image is all over this movie.
Technically, to create all that stuff, it was a huge endeavor. Almost half the movie in the background in some way or another takes place on a television screen.
It's the Arya Noble ordeal.
That was really where we created Hannah, was through the photographic image, because it was long before we ever went to camera. And I think the photographs play a very important role in the film.
Most of Sarah Gadon's work on this movie actually was in prep, taking a bunch of photos of her, taking all these glamour images, and also shooting her in the coffin box.
Right, let's do that. Your hand under her head.
Yeah, that's it. Shoulder.
I'm so afraid.
That's it.
Go get the full scope of your reaction, let that play out, and then sort of step forward out of frame, and then give it a couple of beats, and then step backwards.
not strong enough to escape. Please say something.
Hannah.
Oh, thank God you're here. I'm so afraid. I'll do anything you say, please.
The relationship dynamics of a character, if you're working opposite someone who you're supposed to have a connection with or a love affair with or an obsession with, are really, really important to me. Brandon said to me in prep, he said, Caleb's coming in, would you like to meet him? And I said, no, I don't really want to meet him. I don't really want to know him. I don't want him to project anything onto me. I don't want to project anything onto him, especially when we're forming ideas of each other that are so independent.
That's all she was to me, was Hannah Geist. She was nothing else. So that was really nice. I haven't seen any of her work, and so I wasn't tainted by anything that she'd done before. So she was Hannah Geist. We are in the same room together, so, you know, try not to look at her and things like that. So that the first time we speak will be maybe a little more, it needs to be exactly, it needs to be perfect somehow.
This is really great. This is super glamorous. Glamour shots. I love me the glamour shots. Okay.
292. Marker.
I spent 8 hours in a bed, and Caleb was kind of coming up to me, and I had a mask on, and I didn't see him. And he's doing his thing, and he's taking his blood, and my blood, and I found that to be one of the most interesting acting experiences I think I've ever had, because when you're not allowed to look at someone and you're not allowed to see anything, I wore a mask the entire scene, all of your senses become so much more acute. I spent that whole time listening to him. Now who's obsessed with who? Wow. But I was listening to his breathing, and it was the first time that I had ever heard his voice.
Yes, I had a drink before that scene. I was nervous. I was very, very nervous because it was so important, his first meeting with her, and it had to be exact.
I found it really interesting how much I could absorb of who he was by just hearing him breathe and hearing him speak. I was really into it. I was like, yeah, this is so cool.
Caleb wakes up in the Volantester clinic in their unknown room, and he's surrounded by these walls of huge Hannah Geist pictures.
It's really odd to walk into a room where all four walls are your face.
Try it on your side, like you're lying down.
You know, I kept my head down and my eyes closed, and I really tried not to absorb any of that because it's just so bizarre.
It was a simple set. The floor was white, the walls were white, but it has such a powerful presence.
He's basically getting abused and assaulted and gets into this hallucinatory
takes on the
state
role of
where
the male.
he wakes up and he's puking blood.
Frame.
What was interesting was the crew's reaction to the Hannah room, especially Caleb, who took to it quite amazingly. What it gave him was a lot of backdrop to act against.
Hey,
I just wanted to say I'm sorry for the way you're being treated here. Been up to me, we would have taken better care of you.
Okay. How's that?
We gotta get this thing finished and on the market while people still care, otherwise, there's no point. Besides, you owe me for what you did to my rig. Oh!
Cut.
Caleb's performance in that scene is just riveting. I mean, he's riveting every day, but that scene was particularly special.
Sometimes some movies click. You just have a beautiful time doing something that you believe in. And Antiviral was definitely one of those movies where we all believe in the film.
Brandon's a first-time director, but to me a director is the guy who's going to lead our movie. We acquiesce to whatever his vision is.
I met Caleb yesterday for the first time when I picture wrapped on the film. He was like, "Hi, I'm Caleb." And I was like, "Hi, I'm Sarah." And it's weird. There's no other way to say it. We spent an entire film in a relationship but never knowing each other. And actually, Caleb told me yesterday that when we did our scene together in the bedroom, he's like, I had to have a drink before we shot that scene because I was really, really nervous. Weren't you? I was like, nope. No, it's fine, actually. I was curious.
The alchemy of Brandon's first film and Caleb's first kind of major lead performance, and they're both so strong and they both help each other so much, that is going to kind of make it even more explosive.
Call it out, mark it.
I don't know how to call it out.
567, take one.
Say that.
567, take one.
Marker.
Amazing.
We have to acknowledge that he's, as a person, is well placed, having grown up in the environment that he has, and the fact that he's been on movie sets and has been surrounded by celebrities all his life. I think he's kind of a person who is well placed to make those comments. I'm sure when he discusses his film and presents it to the public, we'll have a pretty unique and interesting insight into all that. That, in combination with the film itself, I think will be pretty potent.
First-time directors you have to support and come out for, and he did such a great job with the script that I think it's going to be a really fascinating movie. I can't wait to see it.
He really directs from a place of no ego.
I hope people will see this film and think that I'm a genius. And they'd be right to think that.
That's a wrap on Antiviral, but more so it's a wrap on Caleb Landry Jones, everyone.
Take your brain.
A lot of films, there's fear and things like this, money, that you're always constantly feeling in your ear, as if someone's, whispering just constantly in your ear. And this one didn't have any of it at all, and therefore you were completely able to lose yourself in every single scene practically, which is a beautiful thing.